first why you were late reporting to camp?
Yeah, so I was exposed to a positive test pretty early on, like right before physicals. So protocol said that I had to be in quarantine for 7 days. So just knocked that out. I tested negative a handful of times, so everything should be good now.
And then can you kind of take us through what last year was like for you and how your arm is feeling health-wise right now?
Yeah. Obviously last year was a little bit bittersweet for me. As far as the health goes, everything is kind of cleaned up on that end, but I'm super happy with how I feel. I was really happy with how I threw the ball in summer camp last year. So just trying to take those things that I was doing there and bringing them here.
When you say cleaned up, did you have to have a procedure or anything?
No surgeries.
Brian McTaggart.
Hey, Forrest. It seems like you've been tinkering with your delivery every spring. Going back to, I think it was last year, you said you were going back to what you're doing, in high school. Just where are you at now with your delivery mechanics, and have you found something that works for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's anything in particular. The biggest point of emphasis for me this offseason was really maintaining heel contact on the rubber when I'm going down the mound, and that was pretty much it. But I'm really happy with where my mechanics are now. They're not too far off from where they've been in the past. They're probably exactly the same as they were in summer camp. So just doing my best to keep it that way.
Jake Kaplan.
Hey, Forrest. What are you focused on in terms of pitch development this spring?
I wouldn't say I'm developing any pitch as far as its shape or anything like that, but obviously there's tons of room to grow in the command aspect, which is my main point of emphasis this spring training, is just making sure I'm throwing everything for strikes.
Chandler?
Obviously got added to the 40-man this offseason. Does that kind of increase your drive and your focus to get up to the big leagues and make your debut?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it had any influence on my, an increase in drive or anything. I felt like I've always been a pretty driven person, but I feel very rewarded to have been added to the 40-man roster. So I'd like to, thank the Astros for giving me that opportunity. But yeah, it's definitely something where I feel one step closer. So just making sure I'm giving them every reason to believe in me.
Brian?
How big is this year for you, just to sort of establish yourself a little bit, get up to the big leagues, and put some of the the things you've gone through the past couple of years behind you?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be super important. I feel like the last 3 years, every year is just kind of run into the most important year of my life. So just try not to focus too much on it and have fun with the game while also maintaining a good work ethic and staying on top of your things.
Jake?
Yeah, pitcher workload is going to be a popular topic this year for everyone. Just projecting how much each guy should go. I'm curious, like with the absence of official innings for you last year, like how do you gauge what you did in 2020 workload wise, and like what do you think is a reasonable innings total for you this year?
Yeah, that's a very reasonable question, actually. Yeah, it's something that I've definitely thought of a little bit. Obviously, wasn't able to throw as many innings as I would have liked last year. But again, try not to focus on it too much and understand that I did have like a decent workload before that, albeit it wasn't great, but there was a workload before that. So just trying to stay with that plan. And ideally for me, I could see myself in a healthy season going anywhere in the range of 140 to 160 innings. But that's going to be a whole nother thing with the Astros and, seeing how they feel on their end. So yeah, I'm obviously looking forward to working with them on that, and hopefully I can achieve that goal. That's a very big goal of mine.
Ryan Herrera.
Hey, Forrest. Obviously, as a former first-round pick, expectations have followed you since 2016. Have you paid attention to that a lot or at all in your career? And if you don't, how do you kind of go about keeping that noise out and just trying to better yourself as a player as best you can?
Yeah, I mean, early on in my career, 2016, 17 in particular, I was definitely a person to read up on it quite a bit. And as I started performing poorly, obviously the words that were said weren't always good things. So just make sure not to look at it, but on both ends, even when people are saying the right things, and just kind of staying in my own lane and doing my own thing.
Have you talked to like any vets, any older players that have gone through the same thing and gotten advice from them on how to deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a handful of guys who have dealt with this, with a similar situation, and it's kind of always the same thing. Just block out the noise, stay in your lane, do what you can to have your own personal success. And it's easy for when some older guys say it, but you got to really hone in on that and work on it. It's not something that you can just kind of get overnight. So that was definitely a learning process for me.
Adam Wexler.
Hey, Forrest, a lot has changed in the organization while you've been a part of the Astros. What's your relationship like? What's your communication like with Dusty and Strami and even the front office?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like everything has been the same all 5 years of the organization, even though we've had a lot of shuffling and whatnot. But communication with Strami and Dusty has been solid. I'm a big fan of them both. Obviously, Dusty's a baseball legend, and so is Strami. So just to be able to play under those guys is a real treat and an honor. So yeah, it's something that for sure I could do a better part on my end, but yeah, we're working together real hard and looking forward to continued work.
Some of the things you've kind of mentioned throughout a lot of the times you've talked with us over the years are some physical and some mental. Where do you feel like things are for you to be better on both of those fronts?
Yeah, I mean, the physical side, just maintaining my soft tissue work and staying hydrated. It's really just the simple things. And on the mental side, just staying one level, try not to get too high or too low. When I'm having success or even when I'm having failure, just try to stay on that even line, like everybody says. So that's just my only goal for 2021.
Brian.
There were 10 guys who made their debuts last year, and it certainly looked like you would have been among that group had you been healthy. Was that frustrating to watch that? Knowing that some of these opportunities and innings could have been yours.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It wasn't the first time I dealt with that in my career. I felt pretty close to the big leagues before, and have had some things pop up before that. But yeah, I mean, for sure, you definitely get a little bit jealous when you see your friends out there competing and you're hurt. There's nothing you can do about it. But at the same time, I'm also extremely happy and proud of those guys, because a lot of those guys worked extremely hard to get to that position. So that being said, I just look forward to joining them this year.
Adam, did you have another question? Okay. Anyone else? Questions for Forrest? No. All right, Forrest. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
your
guys.
time.
Thank you.
See ya.